Oh, Andy Robertson. Hello and welcome back to Off the Underside podcast, guys. I want to do a quick video in regards to the latest breaking news in the past hour that Scotland captain Andy Robertson will leave Liverpool at the end of this season. The end of his current campaign, Andy Robertson will leave Liverpool. What a career he's had, eh? You know, he started off at Queen's Park. Everybody kind of up here had heard of him and stuff like that. Nobody ever thought that he was going to kick on and have the career he did. He moved on to Dundee United under Jackie McNamara and Simon Donnelly, and he did really well. He got his move to Hull City down in England, performed excellent even in a team that got relegated down there. But then he moves on to Liverpool, and he's no look back. He moved there in 2017, and I will read Liverpool's statement out for you guys. The headline reads this: Andy Robertson to leave Liverpool at the end of this season. Liverpool FC can confirm Andy Robertson will bring his Reds career to an end at the conclusion of the current season. After 9 hugely successful campaigns at Anfield, the Scotland captain will leave the club upon the expiry of his contract this summer. He will do so as a genuine Liverpool legend, having played a fundamental role in the success of recent years over the course of 373 appearances to date. Signed from Hull City in 2017, Robertson has won 2 Premier League titles, a Champions League, the FA Cup and 2 League Cups, as well as the FIFA Club World Cup, UEFA Super Cup and Community Shield. I mean, that's unreal, isn't it? That is unreal in 9 years to win all the trophies. However, celebration of Robertson's Liverpool legacy is firmly on hold until the conclusion of the campaign, with the number 26 fully focused on helping the Reds end 2025-26 season as successful as possible. And that's the end of the statement. I mean, like I said, what a career. Just looking there at his stats and stuff as well, 92 caps for Scotland. He will pass the 100 caps mark. I'm absolutely convinced of that at some point. There's going to be a few games obviously this summer coming up in the World Cup for him. But for Andy Robertson to be leaving Liverpool is a pretty big deal in my opinion. I think he's been one of the best Scottish players to head down south in such a long time. You know, you can put guys like John McGinn on that list as well. But Andy Robertson has far succeeded more than anyone's expectations, I believe. I think even probably himself, he probably never ever thought he was going to go on and win Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues, and that's no kind of disrespect to him or his ability or whatever, but you know, it's a very rare thing for somebody to kick on like that and go to the very top, and Andy Robertson's done that, and what a player he was for Liverpool. Kind of tailed off for the end of last season, you know, they won the league and stuff, but he's not really been, you know, a regular starter for Liverpool this season. Because his career is kind of coming towards the end at that club. But yeah, like I say, what a player. And that, you know, you could see potential when he was in Scotland. You could see a really good young player in the making up here. Particularly at Dundee United, I thought he performed really well in that team. But again, I'm not going to honestly say that. And we've had people on this podcast, guys like Scott Fraser, who played with Andy at Dundee United and stuff, and I've seen Jackie McNamara talk about this, about how, you know, you didn't ever expect him to kick on to that level. You knew that he was a good player, but to get to that level you need to be pretty special, and Andy Robertson was. Great left-sided, a great left fullback, up and down that pitch, total workhorse as well. He had a great engine. And you know what really improved for me at the time of Liverpool was his delivery and stuff. You know, Jurgen Klopp clearly worked on that with him and stuff. He was definitely vastly improved from his time at Hull and Dundee United and Queen's Park, etc. When he got to that level, it was kind of like he had to perform, and you know he did. He absolutely did. And then to have the pressure of the Scotland thing as well, where he's a captain and he's became a leader in his life and his career and stuff. And another thing about, you know, Andy Robertson, you've got to say, is he never made any headlines for the wrong reasons. He was never in the papers for anything wrong. A wee bit like, you know, what I was talking about the other week with like guys like Kieran Tierney and stuff. Loads of people in the Scotland camp at this moment, I believe it's a bunch of good boys, you know. It's like guys who just want to knuckle down, get their head down and play football, and that's exactly what Andy Robertson did. You never heard him, you know, coming out of nightclubs and all that kind of stuff. And also, people can talk about maybe how the end of his career has came now at this age and stuff, but I think that the fact that his good friend Diogo Jota passed away last season, after last season, I think that's maybe made a big impact on Andy, because I know he was close to him and stuff. And when Scotland made the World Cup against Denmark that night, he done his interview afterwards and he said he was thinking of his friend the whole night and stuff like that. So I mean, it was a big deal, the fact that those Liverpool players lost that man. You know, like, Arne Slot's under a lot of pressure right now, and people do think that he probably will end up moving on, because for Liverpool standards, it's not been a good season, it's not been a successful season. They get beat 2-0 last night against PSG, and that means that they probably won't get to a final, I mean, like, lift a trophy this season. So it's a shame for Liverpool, you know what I mean, it really is, because they've been a top team for many years now. Jurgen Klopp did an amazing job. Arne Slot, when he came in at the last season, was outstanding, but it's just no worked for them this season for various reasons, including the Jota thing, I believe. But you can't solely blame, you know, Jota passing away for Liverpool's poor season. It's just been a mixture of things, like Mohamed Salah and Virgil van Dijk and even Andy Robertson haven't been up to their finals, you know, the scratch of how they used to perform. But all in all, he's been a great servant for the club. He's been a great asset for the club over the years. And Liverpool fans will be sorry to see him go, I'm sure of that, and I'm sure he'll get a good send-off at the end of this season. You'll Never Walk Alone will be belting out at Anfield, no doubt. And talking of You'll Never Walk Alone, could he be moving on to his boyhood club Celtic? End of last season, Kieran Tierney, who I mentioned, left Arsenal to come back to his boyhood club. Can Andy Robertson, or will Andy Robertson, do the same? That's what people will be talking about. I know that a few months ago I remember reading about how he could be going on to Tottenham, but you know, I don't know about that. Will he stay in the English Premier League to try and get another wee payday for a few years? Or will he come to Celtic and try and force his way into the team? Maybe compete against Kieran Tierney next season, who knows? You know, I know that Sirachi's been a very good player for Celtic this season on loan, and a lot of Celtic fans want Sirachi at the club next season. I wouldn't be opposed to that myself. He's a very good player, like I say. But it could only be a good thing if Andy Robertson comes up. You know, his friend here, Oxlade-Chamberlain, one of his best friends, is currently at the club. And I'm sure Andy will be considering, you know, asking that question, you know, as you probably would. Like Oxlade-Chamberlain, when he done his interview the other week, said that Andy Robertson was begging him to come up, basically. So you know how much Andy loves Celtic, you know how much he loves the club. Will he want a wee crack at himself? I think if I was in his position, I would definitely want a wee crack at it for a year or two, to say in years to come that he played for Celtic, you know what I mean? And he was at Celtic as a youngster, didn't quite work out, he moved on. But Andy Robertson, Champions League winner, Premier League winner, Celtic will have to look at that as well. Obviously, he would have to take a massive wage cut, a massive drop in wages to come to Celtic. Will there be offers from England? Will there be offers from Saudi? Will there be offers from America for Andy Robertson? I dare say there will be, so it will really come down to what his heart wants to do and whether Celtic really want him, because we've been in this position as well with Celtic before where, you know, players would thrive to play for the club and stuff, but Celtic haven't quite fancied it for whatever reason. But Celtic, excuse me, Celtic have proved in the past few years that they are happy to go down the road of guys who are a bit older. Look at even up to Oxlade-Chamberlain, Joe Hart, Kasper Schmeichel. They've looked at players who are a wee bit older who could come in and, you know, make an impact in the team and help the dressing room and stuff like that. And I think that falls into the bracket Andy Robertson. Andy Robertson, if you're the player there, you speak to your agent and you say, right, going to find out if Celtic would at least be willing to talk to me. If that's what you want to do, you know what I mean? You wouldn't be sitting there waiting for Celtic to make the move, because Celtic probably won't make the move. If I was Andy Robertson, I wanted to go to Celtic, I think I'd be saying to my agent, get speaking to them, tell them that I would be interested in talking to them. But again, you know, he's got a young family, I believe. He's still a young guy. He's only 32 years old. Probably feels he's got maybe 2 or 3 years left in the tank to play football. To go beyond that as a fullback is maybe asking a wee bit too much, because you're up and down that pitch constantly, man, and the way it is in this day and age, where you're constantly on the move as a fullback, you're constantly up and down that track, and you're making lung busting runs everywhere. So I mean, I reckon as a fullback, Andy Robertson probably got about 2-3 years max left in him as a footballer. So maybe we'd want to go to Saudi, make a massive bit of wages there. I know that Saudi would probably want him if he was to, ask questions over there. America again, that's a possibility. I would say it's between those. Couldn't see him really going to like a Barcelona, or Real Madrid, or a Milan, or anything like that at this point in his career. I think that it's pretty unlikely that, but you never know. Stranger things have happened in this world. Or would he go down the road of another Premier League team? Like I said, Tottenham earlier. Would he go to like an up and coming team? Like if Coventry go up, could he go to Coventry under Frank Lampard? Wouldn't he rule it out? Wouldn't he rule it out at all? Nothing would be off the table for me and things like that. I don't think he'll go down to the Championship. That would just be daft. There's no point in that. I think he'll go to either a Premier League team, Saudi, America, or he'll go to Celtic. That's my prediction. My heart tells me he'll try and push a move to Celtic. Because Kieran Tierney isn't going to play 90 minutes forever. He doesn't play 90 minutes at the moment. Would Kieran Tierney be up for the idea of, Andy Robertson coming, playing 60, 70 minutes and Kieran Tierney coming on for the last 20, 30 minutes? Or vice versa, and swap it about, you know what I mean? Because the two of them are, like I say now, early 30s and coming towards the end of their career. So, it's an exciting one. Andy Robertson, like I say, has been a fantastic player for Liverpool. It's a huge loss to Liverpool. It's a huge loss to the Premier League. It's a huge loss for Scotland as well, because he needs to be playing at the top level for as long as possible. He's going to reach that 100 mark, which he definitely will. I'm convinced of that. I don't think he'll be out of the Scotland team within the next year or anything. So I definitely think he'll get to that 100 mark. And he deserves to do so as well, because he's been a great servant for Scotland. You never really hear him pulling out of matches, and I know he's a captain and stuff, but even before that, he never really pulled out of matches or decided he didn't want to play or whatever. And he's not been the best player for Scotland. Let's be honest, Scotland haven't really been performing over the years. They've done really well to get to tournaments, but there's been a lot of disappointing results in there for Scotland. But that's not Andy Robertson's fault. It's just a collective. But anyway, he's got a World Cup coming up. He's got decisions to make. I'm sure there will be offers in the post for Andy. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Where do you think he'll go? Will he go to Celtic? Will he go to Saudi? Will he go to Premier League? Let me know in the comments. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts. And remember, hit that subscribe button, people, so you can hear more videos like this. Thank you.